Hello again. This is still Speedrun Ragnarok 2022, presented by the RPG Valkyries, benefiting Take This. Just want to let you all know that we have some cool incentives coming up. We have an incentive for Haven, and we just opened up some new incentives, some bid wars for TMNT, Final Fantasy IX, and Pokemon Crystal. So be sure to get your bids in, get some donations toward that target, and help benefit Take This. So we're gonna throw it over to Ozmourn with Stonefly. So yeah, Ozmourn, take it away. Stonefly. So yeah, Ozmourn, take it away.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Rujasu. Hello, everybody. My name is Ozmourn, and today we're going to be playing Stonefly Any Percent. This is a wonderful indie game made by Flight School Studios, and I highly recommend you picking it up after you seeing what you got here. It's, I believe, $20, if not $30 on Steam. It's an absolutely amazing game, and we're going to be seeing a lot of really interesting stuff. If you're familiar with most of my speedruns, this is kind of like different from what I usually do, and I'm just really excited to be showing off here at Speedrun Ragnarok. And I have an amazing commentator with me today. If you could introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, it is I, Roadkill Revenge, and I'm also one of the runners of this game.
Yes, and she is also the amazing world record holder of this game as well. And so I'm super excited to have you here. So just to begin, we're going to start timing after I delete this file, and we're going to start here. Once I press start, we can just start the time right there. So 3, 2, 1, go. All right, Rody, do you mind explaining to the audience exactly what is Stonefly? What are some of the basic fundamentals that we're introduced to here in the first 2 minutes of this game?
Yeah, absolutely. So Stonefly is a collectathon platformer, kind of. And it takes place in this world where basically everybody is really tiny, and they get around in these vehicles called rigs that are these big bug-shaped mechs, basically. And here we are introduced to our protagonist, Annika, and her father, who is a like engineer. Um, and yeah, so basically he's like a world-renowned engineer, and he basically asks Annika to go do a task for him, a chore, and as being a young adult or teenager, I'm not sure which, she immediately forgets, and so she sneaks out in the dead of night with Dad's hot rod, basically, to go and fix her mistake. So you can
Mm-hmm.
see here that the gameplay is a little bit different than you might expect from a platformer. Notably that by default in this game, in these rigs, you are gliding, and you actually have to manually do an input to tell it when to land. And you do that to do like Oz did right there, to collect minerals. Over the course of this game, there are a whole lot of different minerals that need to be collected in order to build required upgrades, as well as some upgrades that help go faster. Um, and yeah, there's a bunch of different kinds of those. Most of the minerals in this game are RNG, but overall it tends to be fairly consistent in terms of sort of the average amount that you get. However, in this tutorial segment, you actually get close to a set amount of this specific mineral called Limedot. So Oz is going to be aiming to have around 3,400 Limedot by the end of this segment. And here he just entered a combat encounter. You can tell that it's what we call a forced encounter. Whenever this sort of red, like grid, sort of overlays an arena, and the way those work is that you have to defeat a set amount of specific, like aggressive enemies before it will let you move on. A lot of the run involves skipping these because they're long, and you have to compete over the minerals that the bugs come out to fight over. But this one we do because the Limedot is a really important mineral that is one that you don't want to be behind on, so it's worth taking the fight to be able to get that right there.
Yeah, and a lot of, as Brody said, you only have to like kill like the aggressive enemies or the hostile enemies. What counts as aggressive or hostile will be dependent on the encounter itself. For example, you saw those really tiny bugs that we fought at the very first encounter. We're never gonna have to fight those guys ever again in the entire game. They're just there to like introduce to us the mechanics. And every single encounter that you have is very RNG RNG dependent in the sense that you really don't know where the enemies are going to spawn or how they're going to behave, and so you just kind of have to react to what the game gives you. You're going to see a really good example of that in the final encounter of this game, or of this area, and hopefully I can get the faster cycle for this wind over here. I don't think so. Well, I'm gonna play it safe because I really do want these. No! I love how I said I was gonna play it safe, and then I did the exact opposite. Look at that.
Yeah, it's surprisingly difficult to get that cycle depending on how those fights prior to it go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's worth it to stop in there for that line. But you might notice that while Oz was on the ground there was like a little exclamation point that popped up. That basically warns you that a wind gust is about to come your way, and you can do a certain control to sort of grip.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Did I get all of them on the same leaf? My goodness.
Yeah, so Oz got really good RNG here. So basically those bugs can spawn on any of the like leaves of this big leaf. And they all spawned on the exact same leaf, which meant that his stun was able to hit all of them at once. And also it meant that they were grouped up so that he could push them all off at once. Because one thing to note about this game too is that the enemies don't have health bars or anything. You just stun them, and some of them take more hits to stun than others. And then you have to push them outside the arena.
But that is the end of Krista. That's the end of the tutorial section, and surprisingly, I got like perfect RNG in that section, which is great because I don't usually get perfect RNG there. And in this next section, surprise, your father's mech has been stolen. By whom? We don't know. But now we are going off on the main journey, which is going to find our father's mech again. And this is Kevin. Everyone say hi to Kevin. He is this wonderful grasshopper. And you might think that it's easy to control Kevin. It's not. Oftentimes, Kevin does not enjoy going in a straight line. I can promise you that I'm like holding just up the entire time, and Kevin just feels like curving. And it's very difficult to get used to this. But of course, after doing it so many times, it's not too terribly hard to get used to. And this is like the last time that we're gonna see Kevin after we get into this encounter. He's not dead, he just goes away and we never see him again. So everyone say bye to Kevin now. Oh my goodness, Kevin, please.
This is legit my favorite part of this game, and it only lasts like 30 seconds of the speedrun.
Exactly. Kevin's movement is actually pretty satisfying, not gonna lie.
It's weird because yeah, he's like very unpredictable, but it's sort of fun to wrangle him. So yeah, so basically Annika ran away from home, and she ran into this group of ne'er-do-wells called Acorn Corps. And basically she's trying to track down this thief, and she went and found the first adults that she encountered and was like, help me. And they're just like, no, leave me alone. But it turns out they need her help, and so that's what this encounter is here. Now you might notice that Oz is not getting any of these minerals. That's because for this specific encounter, you get a set amount of minerals at the end, regardless of how many you get. They take it all away from you, so there's no point in spending the time to gather them.
Yeah. Right here we're introduced to our main posse. This is Clara. We're going to be buying stuff from her. The majority of the run, as well as Ravenwood and Davin, question mark? I keep forgetting if it's Draven or Davin.
Davin.
Okay, thank you, I got it right. Nice. But they're gonna be our main posse for the whole run. Clara is the most important just because she's the person that we buy stuff from. But as we're waiting for this cutscene to play, if the host wants to maybe read a donation or something, or plug something, they can.
Sure. So, reminder that we are benefiting Take This. We're very happy to be raising money for them. You can find mental health and community resources on their webpage. Use !resources in chat to get the links. The resources include tips on how to talk about mental health and where to find Take This online.
All right, thank you so much. So what you saw there was we got two designs, which is the jump design and the brake design. The jump design does exactly what you think it does. It allows you to jump. And then the brake design is a design that was required, but I don't use, but I'm pretty sure Rhodey uses.
No, brake is the thing that lets you stun bugs. Like, it's the thing that shoots down. Basically, this was an old junker mech that they gave us as a reward for helping them out. And so we got to build it back up from scratch. The first thing we need is to jump and to break stuff.
Oh my god. I've never encountered enemies here before.
Yeah, that's not ideal. So this is where the RNG starts of the run. So this area is a little bit more open world than the last segment. The game is mostly broken up into these 3 open areas and then a couple linear levels that you'll do while exploring these open world segments. And so here, all of the minerals that are on these rocks, this laurinite and dalium, which you can see pop up on the left side of the screen as Oz is gathering it. This is complete RNG. Sometimes you'll get almost none, sometimes you'll get way more than you need. And so a lot of this game is improvising and not spending too much time getting stuff you don't need, but also figuring out and making sure you have what you do. So right now, Oz is aiming to get 2,000 laurinite, 150 dalium by the end of this section now. If he doesn't get that, it's okay. There's lots of places to back up, but that's sort of the rough goal to get through here.
Yeah, exactly. Granted, I usually am a little low on. I'm not gonna be low on dalium because there's dalium over here. Oh my goodness! Thank you for going all into a group right here. My goodness, thank you. Now we're introduced to these long-nosed enemies. They will essentially just shoot projectiles at you from across the room. They're typically very fast-moving and they're a little bit annoying to deal with sometimes, especially when they're in groups, but thankfully right now they weren't that much of a mess. And you're gonna see me collecting these green diamond things. Usually those are like rare materials you can get. Sometimes they will have like stuff like neutron epoxies or other minerals that you need in order for upgrades, but usually they will have stuff like seed casings or something like that in order for you to like just sell to get minerals later. And so if you know like off the top of your head how much of a particular mineral you're gonna get based on what you're selling, you can probably like route it a lot better and save some time on grabbing minerals. But I'm not that knowledgeable, so I'm just gonna be safe and grab the amount that is listed on the notes and get some extra from the stuff that I sell. Here, yeah, go ahead.
There's 2 types of things you can get from those. There's like I said, sellable stuff, but there's also items that are the things that he's going to be buying. And so obviously if you can just find one they would normally have to buy, it's so efficient compared to gathering the minerals to buy it.
In this particular encounter, we're actually going to be skipping it. This is our first one that we've just completely skipped, in which we're just going to be grabbing the laurinite right here, and then we're going to be going outside of the encounter because, surprise, surprise, there's actually a checkpoint right here, and if you quit and reset, you can just spawn right in there next to the checkpoint that you just grabbed. You're going to see me do that again in the next encounter as well. And at the end of this section, we want 8,000 laurinite, which isn't as much as you think it is because laurinite tends to come in large groups. And we want around 500 dalium, which is more than you think it is because dalium tends to come in not that huge groups. All
the minerals behave a little bit differently. Like some of them, like it seems like you don't need as much of them, but you end up spending more time gathering because it just mines more slowly.
Yeah, and right here you're going to be seeing me do this exact same thing. I'm going to grab this just for fun because I want some more of this.
For safety, for
this would hurt,
safety.
yeah. And once again, quitting and resetting the file. And what we're doing here is, we forgot to mention that in Genshin Trail we were trying to find the shoemaker because we saw like tracks, like shoe tracks, and where our father's mech was stolen, and we're trying to find the shoemaker to see if they can find like the person that they made those shoes for. And unfortunately the shoemaker wasn't in Genshin Trail, and so now we're here, or one's in Nightlight Briar and now here in Genshin Trail finding him. And there's this final encounter called with the engine bugs, and these are the most annoying enemies in this game, but thankfully we only have to deal with them once. I'm essentially going to try and, oh my god, please just come over here to the edge, all of you.
Your RNG has been absolutely
oh my god, that
wild.
is, my goodness, that's the best
Wow.
RNG I've ever gotten on that.
Literally how?
Yeah, the RNG there, essentially that's what the engine grubs do. They just charge at you, and thankfully I was able to either bait them off the edge or just kill them right then and there. They usually do not give me that great RNG. I'm getting such good RNG this run, my god.
You're way ahead on laurinite too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those engine grubs that encounter is like generally like a huge time loss, like in most of my runs, because whenever you like fly after them, they run away, and so they'll like hide in the corner and like get stuck, and you can't push them. And there's only one place you can push them off on the right side there, so they just all went over there though. That was like perfect.
And now we're gonna be triggering this encounter with Mr. Cobblestone, the shoemaker, and that's like it. Like you can just do whatever you want during cutscenes. And so you probably saw that I didn't uncover specific rocks because there are minerals underneath those rocks. However, if you leave minerals unattended, the bugs around them will start to eat them, and so I just didn't want that. And so meanwhile, this cutscene is happening. I'm going to be collecting these minerals over here. I do not think that this is enough.
No, but that's okay. Honestly, of all of the minerals to be short on, Dalium is probably the one that's the most okay.
Yeah,
because it's mostly used for safety purposes. If there's a few things you need it for, but and it's also the easiest one to back up because at the shoemaker shop, that Dalium is one of the few mineral deposits that's always guaranteed to be there.
And now we're going to be doing the alphas, and we're going to be buying a pressure mold. We're going to be buying 3 neutron epoxies and 1 hardened crystal, and I'm going to be selling all these things just because I can. And we're going to be buying the dash design and mining speed level 1. Or I can't afford this. Wait, no I can. Yeah, come on, give it to me.
Yeah, basically anything with the word speed in the name, we end up buying in this run. Because, you know, even though this doesn't make us move faster, there's so much mining in the game that being able to more efficiently gather those minerals is really
and the dash ability does exactly what you think it does. It allows you to dash. Oh my god!
Whoopsie.
It's fine. I did not mean to do that.
So
you know,
that's actually a good point to explain sort of how respawning works in this game, because you might have noticed that right there he fell off the map and it put him really, really far back. That's because he had done a really long glide. And basically the way it works is if you go out of bounds, it will respawn you at what the last piece of solid ground you touched was. So if you do like a glide over a long gap, which is something you want to be doing a lot because, you know, landing is slow, if you do fall, it does put you back like quite a big distance.
I'm gonna grab some more of these just because I can. And we want, at the end of this section, well, actually I'm not gonna mention how much we need yet until the alpha. And in this section, we're gonna be going and trying to find, of course, the person that has stolen our father's mech, and the shoemaker told us that they are snowshoes, and so we're going up to a very snowy area in order to find them. Moving, come on.
Yeah, you've got to do like a big jump right there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's very tricky platforming right there. It's really easy to mess up. So yeah, so we're heading up to the mountain because, you know, obviously this person immediately recognized their shoes and is like, yeah, they're going up to the snow mountain. But unfortunately, our mech is not kitted out to handle the snow, and it freezes. And for some reason, that cutscene right there, you can skip. I don't know why. A lot of them in this game you can't, even though you can freely move during them. But what Oz is doing right now is he's looking for what's called alpha aphid tracks. And you can see this sort of scuffed up marks on the branches. Those can spawn in a lot of different locations on the map.
There we
but
go.
Because there's this guaranteed location right next to this respawn point, we can actually just re-roll it until we get the tracks we need, rather than having to switch for them around the map.
Okay. And now we're at the alphas. The alphas are very dangerous in that there's going to be a lot of enemies, but also at the same time there's going to be a lot of minerals. And so there's just this giant bug that has a bunch of minerals on its back, of course the alphas. And at the end of this section, we're introduced, well, first of all, we're introduced to a new mineral, which is the dynatite, that's like orange stuff on the ground. We want around 13,000 loranites, which is easier to get than you think it is. We want around 2,000 dynatites, and then we want around 600 dalium. Usually the dalium, for some reason, is the one that I always have the most trouble with. And so these alphas are very hectic. We're gonna get a lot more. We're gonna get a lot more abilities to help like mitigate the randomness or mitigate the difficulty of the alphas in the future. But at the same time, the alphas are just gonna get harder as the game progresses, so it kind of balances out. And yeah, thankfully, this seems to be going really well, actually, so far.
Yeah, you were very ahead of Lornai, which does help. That's one thing, spending more time ahead of time getting these minerals makes these safer.
It's true.
And so it's just a matter of how much time you want to spend on this versus later on. But it's nice, though, just because there's lots of minerals here. But what minerals are where on the back of this outfit are RNG, and also sometimes the enemies are buttheads. You also might notice that here on the head of the aphid, there is another new mineral called biotite. Oz made sure to go way far out of his way to make sure he got that, because at the end of the run we are going to need a ton of Hyatite, and it is the rarest thing here in the game. Oz also just got a really useful glitch, which we've been tentatively calling like this. Sometimes whenever you land and get blown by the wind and try to mine at the same time, it will just instantly collect the entire mineral deposit. Also, Oz, you can speed up a little bit here, bud.
Yes, I'm purposefully dying. There we go.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. So yeah, that's another thing too. So there is a way to end these faster, which is to intentionally die, which is a little bit faster than waiting on the animation for it to finish. And if you already have all the minerals you need ahead of time, it's definitely worth just going ahead and moving on.
I was very close to the end though, so I actually don't know if that actually saved any time. We're gonna get the snow shell. Yeah. We're gonna get the snow shell design because it's required.
On that first one.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Yeah. We're gonna get the snow shell design because it's required, the full design because it's required, and the arrow design because it's faster. And the arrow design is probably the best thing to ever come out of this game. And you're gonna see that very clearly in the next level once you get into the mountains.
Yeah, basically the arrow ability is a button you can hold to just go faster. And it also allows a new movement tech.
Yes, essentially I'm holding down right bumper and it allows me to go faster, but also every time that I press B, it does this like little dip in the air and just a little boost like so, and you can just keep spamming that. I've actually, this game has made it so that I'm using a Nintendo Switch like Pro controller connected to my PC, and you can like feel you can feel the Y, X, and A button all like pressed down, but like the B button is it feels incredibly soft to pull down, and it just because I've been spamming B this entire time, like for the entire game, like it's just like worn, like this game has just worn down the B button on my controller like a lot.
Yeah, there's definitely an art to it though, because you don't have to like spam it, but it is the most consistent way to make it like make you zoom. But you can also do these sort of long dips to sort of preserve their momentum in different ways. It's a very interesting movement tech, but it just comes from combining the dash ability that we got earlier and arrow. For whatever reason, having both of those lets you do this little, really interesting little movement.
And we're currently taking this guy up the mountain who doesn't have a mech, and for some reason this confuses Annika because she's never heard of the concept of like finding herself apparently. And yeah, there's just this guy that we're trying to help out, and he's giving us directions, but of course we already know where it is. Rajasu, if you want to like say something real quick before we get into the next section, feel free to do so now.
Sure, I'll just remind you again that we have an incentive for Haven coming up to watch the reunion cutscenes. We are going to need a good bit more money to get that, but we have some time, so get your donations in now. We would really like to see that and appreciate anything for Take This.
All right, thank you so much.
Y'all really want to see those cutscenes, trust me.
Yes, we do. Great. I've seen them before, they're great. And now we're going to the next area, which is the Maple Canopy, and I'm immediately going to turn left in order to try and get specific minerals and see if there's a mineral that we have here. We are now wanting to have more Limedot if possible. You don't necessarily need to get the minerals here. Like this is a area in which like if there are minerals, get them, but if they're not, you can just get them later.
Yeah, one thing too is that now is the first time we're seeing Limedot outside the tutorial, and so it's it sort of becomes apparent why getting that Limedot early on is important, because if it's guaranteed, getting any here is not. And
oh my god.
RNG finally is getting caught up to you.
I got 2
0 minerals on that rock.
I got 2 apid tracks in one area. That's amazing.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah. So you want around, hold on, come on, thank you. You want around like 4,000 Limedot here if you can, which thankfully we have.
Got it.
And I don't need to, I think that like that's it. Do we have any other?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you can also get Dalium here, but the game doesn't feel like giving it to us, but it's fine because there's a lot of Dalium in the next area. And that is a trading outpost.
The good news is he shouldn't need any more Lauronite for the rest of the run. The number is so high on that first aphid because that essentially just means you don't ever have to worry about that one mineral ever again.
This is true.
if you hit that goal.
Right here, you're going to see me skip all of the encounters in this area, particularly this one as well, because there we can just the hitbox for that one is like more of in a circle, and so you saw me like actually physically go around the hitbox. And in this next one, I'm actually going to go over the hitbox for this next encounter by climbing onto this leaf, and then going on to this next leaf over here. Oh, I'm surprised that worked. Okay, and then
Yeah, that was a bit funky, but hey.
And then I do
Ooh,
not.
That was a little low. Oh,
It's
you got
fine.
it,
It's
you
fine.
got it.
Yeah. So I do not like. You don't want to use the arrow ability because, as I said, every time you use like a boost, you also like dip down a little bit and you lose height. And if I dipped down and lost height there, I would have activated the encounter, which I do not want.
Yeah, a lot of the movement in these next couple levels is just doing some movement that looks really, really unoptimal because it's like, why didn't you just go in a straight line to the goal? And it's because you have to avoid these invisible hitboxes to start these encounters.
And we do have one forced encounter in this area, which is the final one. But like you have to do this one. Like we have found a way for you to go around it, but like the end loading zone will not like activate until you finish this encounter. And so
this is the bull beetle. So these are big meaty faces that like to do a ton of damage. Now they attack in a very, very set pattern that's pretty easy to get around, unless you get 3 of them at once that are all desynced and all trying to hit you at different times. So this fight can be pretty stressful. Luckily though, they do give you a boom bug here, which are the ones that shoot the big mortars you've been seeing. And they actually do friendly fire, so we can actually use that to help us out a little bit.
thank you. I'm gonna get rid of you just because. Okay. So we want like a good amount of Dalium here. A little bit of a time loss only because I really want Dalium after this section.
Yeah,
but
it helps to be able to buy some. Dalium is mostly used for things like your hull integrity upgrades, and since later on some fights can surprisingly kill you, it's just really good for safety.
Yeah, it's true.
Especially while learning the run, I definitely recommend making sure you get those safety upgrades.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that I'm going to be doing right here is I'm going to be buying. Oh my god, look over here. I'm going to be going over to the trading outpost and I'm going to be buying some stuff. Particularly, I'm going to be buying. I forgot. We want 4 rain wire. We want 4 pebble rivets. Solar coils, no. Oh, thank you.
Solar coil is way more important, yeah.
Thank you. And that's what we wanted. Thankfully, the sellable items that I had gave me enough. And we are going to buy the bubble ability, which is really important, but also required. The hull durability level 1, and then the mining speed level 2. All of this is going to be really, really useful in the alpha that we're about to do, especially the bubble design, because it's essentially just a force field that you can use in order to just be completely immune to enemy attacks and able to grab some. Oh my god, what was that? What did I just do?
I don't know, but it was really cool. That is, I guess you just sort of did a scoop, but without the air. That's new. That's
Wait. But if I just did that, that means we can find a way to like actually do it consistently.
You might have just discovered the new tech. I'll have to like watch that later.
You're right. Okay, I'm gonna get off this.
This 8-bit is, in my opinion, the most stressful part of any net run because if you don't get the minerals you need here, especially the faunicle, you have to do a whole nother 8-bit in order to back it up, and it's a massive time loss. And it's a little bit more tight in terms of how many minerals you need and how much time you have. But luckily, Oz has a new tool, which is Bubble.
Oh my god, which I'm not using.
That is essentially just like a sphere of safety. As you can see, it pushes all the nearby bugs away, and also just gives you this little zone where you can just freely mine. It doesn't last super long, but it does have a relatively long cooldown. But it allows this to be possible. Also, you got a little bit of bad luck here. You got.
You're right.
I was always confused. So what happened right there is there's a bug that leaves a little trail, and if you touch it, it like makes it to where you can't jump, or it does a ton of damage. There's 2 different kinds of them. And they introduced them here on this 8-bit, but they don't let you get the ability to deal with them until after this.
Okay, perfect.
Anyway, so right now he's looking for roughly like 1,300 monocle, as well as, 1,200 monocle, 9,000 Limedot, and 2,400 Niantic. So so
I might have to
might have to
re.
re-roll it.
Yeah, I might have to re-roll it. Options. Quit. Only because like the enemies are really, really bad for me on that one.
Yeah, they were a bit mean to you.
Yeah.
But that's okay. So this is a little bit of a spoiler for tech that is going to be used later on in the run. It is possible to do this with just one aphid, but one thing that Oz discovered when routing this game is that if you quit out during an aphid and just reload, you actually keep all of the minerals that you already mined. And so that means that if you don't quite get what you need, rather than having to like reset and go and look for more tracks, you can just re-roll it.
Wait, what was that on the far left wing? What? Oh yeah, for some reason I thought I found. Okay, I guess that was an enemy. I was like, is that a piece of pyatite over there on the left wing? I was like, that can't be true.
No, I think it's only on the heads of the other aphids. Okay. You're getting close now. You just need a little bit more Limedot. And just like before, once he has some needs, you know, you can always spend time getting extra because extra is never a bad thing to have. But you can force a death on purpose and end it early.
I don't. Oh, come on. I need like an enemy to attack me right now because.
There's a few times in this run where death abuses are valuable. But sometimes the enemies that actually do like a lot of damage to you just don't want to spawn.
True. Okay, skipping here. And take your bets. Will we get the skip? Question mark.
Alright, so let me go ahead and explain this skip. So this is a cutscene skip that skips like a very, very long cutscene. And in order to get it, he has to go and talk to Clara here. And he has to sell her, he has to give her a set of items. And then turn it in while a dialogue box is open.
No!
So one thing you can do is you can give her like partial, like you can turn in part of the minerals instead of re-rolling it like that. And then you might have had the extra time to make it, but it's still a really finicky skip. And basically just how it works is if you have a dialogue box open when you turn in those minerals that she needs, and you run back to your mech and you get in it before that dialogue box closes, it unlocks the next level but does not start the cutscene, and so you can go ahead and jump into the next level.
It's true.
It was a good try. It was very, very close.
It was very close. I think the dialogue box disappeared right before I could get into the mech, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I've gotten to where I will just like dump all of the Dynatite and not the Limedot and then start re-rolling it so that I don't have to input as many times. But there you go. So that's the cutscene that gets skipped. So as you can see, that's a pretty significant skip.
Oh, wow. Wow, okay.
Whoops. So right here, this one, for me, this encounter skip is the hardest one. I don't know why. I just struggle with it. But essentially, just like before, Oz is going to be able to jump off of this little pot in the tree and then go around this trigger.
What? Seriously?
Oh, yeah, you turned in a little bit too narrowly. It's so interesting because the triggers are not equal to the actual size of the arena. They're, like, smaller. I don't know. It's weird.
There we go. That's perfect.
See, that was very, very close to where you landed before. You just barely clipped it. But it's not too bad because you can quickly quit and redo. This is one of my favorite levels, though, because you essentially, all you do is skip that one encounter and then climb up this giant tree, and then you just glide all the way to the end. And this really shows off the power of that sort of air dip that you can do. Because once you sort of get the trajectory, you just sort of got to do that all the way to the end. And it's tricky though because one thing about this game is that it does have a fixed camera. This sort of camera swinging around is not Oz doing that. That's just the camera sort of trying to angle at us in the level. And it does mean that flying in a straight line is surprisingly difficult. So it's sort of hard to figure out exactly where to go. But Oz made it over to this blue leaf. He literally just needed one of those minerals and had to go all the way through the level just to get that.
Okay, and now we need to sit through another cutscene, which unfortunately we haven't found an ability to skip. So, Rujasu, if you want to say some more words, you definitely can.
I can certainly say words. So, we have shirts and other merchandise that you can get, and support Take This. If you type !merch in chat, it'll give you the links to our listings on Bonfire. I got one of those shirts myself at last year's event, and I love it, so you should definitely check that out.
Yeah, wonderful. So this is the end of the maple canopy section. After this particular section, we're going to be going into like a B plot kind of thing with Daven. But before we do that, we're going to be... This is essentially like the halfway point of the run, and you know this because we're about to fight a boss. But first, we're going to get the blink design, and that's it. And I know that this is the one that I know for a fact that Rhodey uses, but I don't, which is why she has world record, and I don't. And it's just like something that I haven't found. I mean, I know that it's probably faster just because you're used to it, and like you made it. You've like routed it, your movement with it, but like I haven't really, like I just haven't implemented it into my runs at all.
Wait, Blink? You just used it.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, not Blink, not
You're
Blink. I'm
using it
thinking.
right now.
I'm thinking of.
You're thinking of Spark.
Yeah, something of Spark.
Yeah. But yeah, so Blink is essentially another movement tech that is, it's similar to the dash, except it is, as you might imagine, it's like a teleport. And so it's a much faster reactive sort of movement as opposed to just something that sort of pushes you forward. And the reason I give it to you here is because it's the best way to dodge some of this boss's attacks because he can sneak up on you. So the Wind Mantis boss is, I think this is actually a really interesting and clever way to make a boss with the mechanics of this game. So rather than have to stun this boss, we have to take these rocks that the boss will drop from the ceiling and push them into him to do damage. Sometimes, you know, they get a little bit finicky with the physics. Also, sometimes he will like hit himself with the rocks like that.
That was pretty good.
And then that was quite good. Yeah. So and then you just push him off, and now we fall. Wait.
There you go. That's fine. That was really good. It's not the fastest mantis that I've ever had. You can get like
it's still a very good one.
You can get ridiculously fast mantises if you have a really good RNG. But yeah,
it's also really important not to get hit by him because when you get hit by that boss, he like shoots you off, and it's so hard to get back to the arena. And it just
Yeah, that's true. He also does like a lot of damage. So much damage. So we're gonna quickly buy photo. I forgot.
Oh, no. You opened the wrong menu.
Open the wrong menu. I press Y instead of B. It's fine.
I've done that so many times.
God.
So many times. One interesting thing about Blink too is that, and this is sort of a subtle thing that if you really want to micromanage your movement optimization, you can do. It actually it isn't super well communicated that it does this, but it actually resets the cooldown for dash.
It does.
Even though dash has a Blink, they have they have a weird timing on their cooldown. So what you can do is you can dash and then blink and then dash again, and then you have to wait a little bit longer than you normally would for blink. I don't know, it's sort of hard to describe. So yeah, if you're really into like optimizing like your micro movements, managing that is something that I still have not really sat down and like figured out how much faster it is than just doing it the normal way. So there's a lot of room for more innovation and like player expression with the way that you use these skills and move through these levels. So this little area is a good place to like check your minerals. Right there, those three mineral deposits are always there, and so it's a good way to check your Limedot or your Lorenite, things that you might be short on right there.
This section also has the best music in the game.
Yeah, I like
this. I love this song so much.
But yeah, basically what Oz is doing here is simply using this new ability Lift, which just, as you might imagine, lifts you up off the ground, gives you a lot more height than a normal jump, and you can combine it with jump to get like, you know, even more height. And then he's just gonna glide straight to the end of the level. As you can see, this level is a little bit interesting, the way that the geometry is sort of not attached to the wall. Like, you're not supposed to be over here on this left wall like this. But it's, you know, not super difficult to climb up some terrain and just get over here and avoid some really long and difficult fights.
Alright, wonderful. And you probably saw that it didn't like use the arrow ability to like this ability right here because you want to be high enough so that you can go past the branch that I just flew over. And if you use the arrow ability too much, you won't have enough height. And then it'll be next to impossible to get around that branch without triggering the encounter, and that is like one of the most difficult encounters in the game. All right.
So basically what we're doing here is we're now like in the Acorn Core squad officially. I guess they officially decided that we were cool enough to let us join. And so David is mysteriously helping us get this tool that we need to build an upgrade to go to the marsh, which is where we're trying to go because it's where we think the thief sold the mech, the rig that we're still looking for. It turns out that the Acorn Core is also looking for a mysterious mech. Definitely not the same one though.
Yeah,
it's
totally
called
not.
the Phantom, the Crystal Phantom. It's totally different. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same one. You're not gonna see that as a plot twist at the end. Just keep, yeah, it's gonna be totally different.
Yep. And so he's taking us on this wild goose chase, and he's being super shady about it. But it's so weird. I still am baffled of this choice to make this arc take like a third of the game because it's a total B plot, but it's also really adorable. This whole game is really cute. Like the story is really nice. I love the characters and the character writing a lot.
And yet somehow this B plot is still more essential to like the plot than like the final quest that you do to get all the Pyatite. There's for reasons that we will explain later. But right now we are out of bounds.
Yes, so especially on these last couple levels, it's really funnily easily to get out of bounds. You essentially just have to wish hard enough and you squeeze through the out of bounds. Right there's actually the only place where it's really useful to do so to get around another really difficult fight. This area over here is actually really unclear whether it's intended or not, because like there are minerals that will spawn over here, but it sort of looks a little jank. And right there, he was going very, very close to the left side of the wall, because that is another encounter that is very easy to trigger on accident, and that is one that it is extremely worth it to just quit and reload and go through the whole level again, rather than try and fight that fight. It's very long and very, very difficult, especially because up until this point, we've not gotten many of the upgrades that make the fights easier. We've gotten exactly one armor upgrade. I think that armor upgrade goes up to 7 number of upgrades you can get, so yeah, the later game fights are very difficult if you skip.
I will say that this run has been going very neutrally. Like we've been having like a really good RNG, but at the same time there was a few mistakes that have been made, and so like it kind of balanced itself out. This isn't a very neutral run, I will admit.
Yeah, so I'll climb a big tree, and right here, this platforming on these branches is so annoying. These branches are so small and it's so easy to fall off, but Oz is way better at it than I am, I think, because I just get so angry whenever I mess it up. And right there, Oz is going around another fight here at the top of this leaf. That's one that we used to do until we discovered it was skippable.
Yeah,
the devs were like, why don't you just go this way?
Yeah, shout out to the devs, they're great.
Yeah, we always like to shout out the devs in this game because once we brought up we were speedrunning and add a couple of questions, they went super far out of their way to help us out, answer questions, and literally told us about new skips that we didn't know about. So, yeah,
we want to get a wrong one. We want to get a hardened crystal, and we're going to buy spark design. And this is the design that I mentioned earlier that I know for a fact that you use that I don't. It gives you a little bit more height and allows you to use the air ability more, which is the reason why it's faster.
Have you tried using it?
I am not. This is it's so far into the run too that I just forget that it's a thing that I can do. Like at this point I'm just like, just finish the run, please. Just get to the end.
Yeah. So basically the cutscene that just happened there, so that giant wild goose chase we were talking about, turns out that David was not trying to help us get this tool because they already had one. He was instead commissioning us a custom matching jackets because we are now in the squad. Again, really funny that just him getting us matching jackets was that whole B plot, but I find it extremely
And yet it's still more important than the current plot that's going on, and you'll see why. Because I'm going to complain about it when it happens. Right now we want to just get to the end of this section, and we want, right now we're in East Marsh. We want to find these alpha tracks. We're at 54%. Hopefully the game only makes me get one more instead of 2. There's 2 more checks that we're going to grab, and we're also going to be grabbing this area, the Rocky Pass, is a fast travel location. We're going to come back to later. Is there tracks here? No, there's no tracks here. Is there tracks here? Yes, thank you. And we're at 100%. That's great. We don't have to get those later.
Because one thing to note about the tracks is, in addition to like which ones spawn where and how many you get on your way to things, they also don't give you a set amount of research. Because you might have noticed a meter pop up that has like it goes up to 100%. That sometimes those tracks will give you like 10% research, and sometimes they'll give you like 80. So sometimes you only need 2, sometimes you need 3. I don't think I've ever only needed 1 though. So
no, I don't think I think you always need at least 2. But I've never gotten more than 3, and I've never gotten less than 2.
I've had to have 4 before.
You had to have 4? I've never gotten 4.
Yeah, once. It was horrible. Anyway, so this level's pretty much linear. Again, taking advantage of some of the terrain and pathing to get around some of these long fights that we no longer need, because we are approaching having all the materials that we need for the game, and so even fights that have like really valuable minerals in them, we don't really need. But for now, we're still tracking down this. We're tracking right now, trying to figure out where this auction is happening. We're essentially a bunch of different like other cores are like gathering around in the marsh, and we don't know why.
Oh my god, I got a bark plank.
Yeah, which that's one of the what we were talking about earlier, the items that Oz has been buying a lot of. That's one that we need exactly one of in the run. He just found it, which if he didn't already have all the Limedot he needed, which he does, Limedot and Faunicle, that essentially would have saved him having to get some of that.
Alright, will there be enemies I feel like killing me today? This guy, but I don't think he does that much damage.
No, that was, I would probably just keep going if it was me. So essentially what happened is we decided to ask the locals, basically, and we found this hermit.
Why are these minerals floating in the air? My goodness.
He basically, he eventually spills the beams that there's an auction happening. You got that weird glitch. Anyway, and so this is just a very long cutscene where we talk to the hermit, and then we discuss our plans, and eventually decide that we need to just get our entry into the auction by getting 800 of a mineral called Pyatite. But this is a very long cutscene, and again, quitting doesn't restart this cutscene. You can't go to the camp, you basically just have to fly around, and so you can do 2 things with this time. If you need another set of alpha tracks, you can look for them. You can also look for Pyatite here in the marsh, because there are occasionally Pyatite deposits that spawn in rocks and things like that. Another thing, and this is what I usually tend to do, is just do a death abuse, because that will skip the cutscene. And it is just about how long it takes is worth, especially when you find these. Wow, of course, when you want them to hit you, they like do whatever that.
Can you hit me, please? I don't think he's gonna kill me before this cutscene ends.
Yeah, at this point, it's gonna be very, very close.
Yeah, it's. I think I'm just gonna look for Pyatite and then quit. Like.
I don't think there's gonna be much up here in the tree.
I mean, sometimes I find stuff. This is a very
awkward part of the run, because it's like, well, what do we do? Yeah, so there's the cutscene.
All right.
Bad RNG.
Final epic. Final alpha. We do not care about anything except for Pyatite. That's it.
Yep. So 800 Pyatite though, and that is a lot because Pyatite, as you can see, mines very, very slowly. This is why getting those mining speed upgrades is absolutely critical to being able to do this. It's also as far as we've thus far discovered, it is not possible to do this with just one alpha aphid. So just like before, when he didn't quite have the minerals that he needed from the aphid, essentially what Oz is going to be doing is just sort of gauging how much Pyatite is on the aphid and how accessible it is, how much time he has left in the encounter, and how much more he needs in order to figure out when to re-roll these aphids for more. And also continuing to use that bubble ability, because right here is, again, this is the late game aphid, so it's like the most difficult one. They send you all of the really annoying enemies at once. And they get harder also over the course of the timer on the top of the screen. Also, can I just say that the alpha aphid music is an absolute bop.
It is.
The whole soundtrack in this game rules.
Playco Boy Nature. Nature Boy Playco did a really good job.
Yeah.
So
far this is going pretty been doing a really good job not taking damage, but the actual positioning of the minerals and stuff has been not super ideal. Yeah, this whole wing is like really sparse. Ideally, I like to try and aim for like 450 or 500 at the end of the first one, but that usually doesn't happen. Like that's like what I want to happen, but yeah. Yeah, that was a good call. You're a little bit low on health, so it's probably good not to risk accidentally.
Wait, the in-game time is 47 minutes? That, like, might be PB based.
That's alright. we'll see.
We'll see. Like, I was just like, it's only been 47 minutes? I'm like, what?
Yeah, I think the IGT is, like, exactly 2 minutes faster than an RTA.
Exactly? Okay.
Anyway.
But we'll see. We'll see how the last boss feels like treating me.
So yeah, just like before, he is just getting more Pyatite. There is just honestly, this is not a very good aphid. In general, like I said, so there is a lot of RNG in this game. But as you can see, the like numbers that you're dealing with are like large quantities over the course of the whole run.
Oh, I got the thing.
Nice scoop. And so even though it isn't RNG. Like, there's a lot of RNG in the run. There isn't much RNG that's going to, like, cause resets or lose you much time. Because if you get bad RNG in one place, you're probably going to get good RNG somewhere else.
Alright, here we go.
So he's probably going to be doing one more aphid after this one to get to 800.
Unless I get really good RNG for the next 20
yeah,
seconds.
You might be good, but it looks a little bit barren in terms of how much is even left here. So now would be another good time to read out some donations.
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah, sure. So we got a couple donations. We got $25 from Margaret Ann, saying, donating because A, I have soup, broccoli cheese, not Allen Trumpet, and B, because I want to see those awesome cutscenes in Haven. Can we get a donation train going for Take This? And then right after that, we got $5 from Tempest Mask 1000. Hello, friends of Speedrun Ragnarok. If a stone can fly, so can these $5. Shout out to Ozmourn and Roadkill for being the superpowers behind speedrunning this super cool and charming game. I look forward to starting my first playthrough very soon. Until then, good luck, Oz.
Thank you, Tempest, and please go buy this game, y'all.
Please join us. We're definitely gonna. We're really annoying about constantly trying to get people to play this game casually because it's just really fun and pretty and awesome. But it's also like a really fun speedrun.
It is a really fun speedrun. Okay. Okay. Now I purposefully want everyone to kill me right now.
Yep.
I would like death.
It is one negative thing about rerolling it when you're so close like that is because, like I said, the enemies are more dangerous later in the timer, and so if you have to re-roll it just for like a little bit more, the timer is more, early on.
Can you?
Aphid,
No, I want.
So it takes longer to get.
Come on, I want yes.
There you go. That's what you want.
This guy,
those guys are the most efficient way to die because they drop acid and it just melts your armor.
This is true. Okay. So now all we need to do is sell the Pyatites to Clara and buy a few more things, and then we're golden.
Yep, this is another funny, I guess technically sequence break.
Neutron epoxy rainwire, okay.
Because they're like, oh, the last alpha aphid is hard. How about you build a decoy to make it easier? But I usually don't build the decoy until after I do the aphid, so yeah. The decoy is an ability that is pretty useful in the right circumstances because basically all it does is it makes the bull beetles wimpy, so you can just kill them. But yeah, it's not really required in it.
All right.
So now Oz is heading to the auction, which is a very, very scary level.
Because of rain. Thankfully, it hit me right then and there, and not during a bad area. The rain essentially will make you fall like a rock to the floor if you get hit by it. And my goodness, the rain is scaring me right now.
Being very mean. So you can see that on the... Oh gosh, I think there's like a drop like on you right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, essentially you can see the little red droplets that tell you where the rain is going to hit.
Oh my goodness.
It's been really, this has been awful. So yeah, and essentially what we need to do is we need to take, get lift to get some height, and then take another really long glide across the map here. Oz is taking a little safety stop there, because remember, like I said earlier, if you get hit and fall out of the map, it puts you at the last piece of ground that you touched, and because the rain makes it difficult to make it over these long gaps, it's very dangerous to like reset all the way back where you started the glide. So yeah, definitely a good call. Probably take that safe with how mean the rain was being to you.
Yes. And this is the part of the speedrun where Ozmourn complains about the plot. You know the 900 Pyrotite that we just got? Well, guess what? It doesn't matter, because we just go in and steal what we want anyway. And so all of that was for nothing, because we're not allowed in the auction.
Yeah, we basically just made the Acorn Core super rich, and then they just keep it, because they didn't even... Basically, for whatever reason, and I'm starting to wonder, you know, it's starting to become more obvious what reason. They have like a bad reputation, and so they didn't want to let them into the auction even with the like entry fee or whatever. So they just break in anyway. And so yeah, now I'm like, I think I know why they didn't want to let us in if we're known for this sort of stuff. So surprise, the plot twist has been revealed. The Crystal Phantom that the Acorn Core was searching after to sort of...
Who could have seen such a thing coming?
Cred.
Oh
yeah,
dear.
Who could have seen something? Oh, you got the leaf.
The leaf thing. It doesn't matter, because it blew me into like a really weird direction.
Yeah, that was awkward. But yeah, so essentially it was the exact same you might recognize this rig from the tutorial, because this is Annika's dad's treasured mech named after his late wife. And so Annika now is super torn, because this is something that the Acorn Core have been searching for a very long time, but it's also like it's the mech that belongs to her dad, and so she's very sad.
I will say in that last area, you can get untethered, like you can like untethered from the mech, and if that happens, it doesn't matter so long as you finish the level before the timer runs out. Because if the timer runs out after you after you get untethered, it'll put you back at the beginning of that section. But as long as you like finish the level, it doesn't matter if you're tethered to Cassette or not.
Yeah, that was actually pretty well done. That is such a stressful point, because there's the bugs chasing you. If you get hit with a raindrop, you instantly drop the mech. Sometimes it will like go off the edge of the map and you can't pick it up even if you had the time. So yeah, it's very stressful part.
Okay.
Nicely done.
So we're coming up on the final boss. There are 2 phases. Depending on how great the final boss feels like being in the second phase, time will come up in like 2 minutes or in like 5, depending on what the game feels like doing today. But before we get into phase 2, we have to get into phase 1, and phase 1 is literally the exact same as the Wind Mantis, except the Dragon Mantis just does more damage.
It's just way harder, yeah, he's way more aggro. The arena also makes it a lot more difficult to skate roll back, the physics of pushing these rocks around, and as you can see, this arena has lots of like ridges and stuff on it that the rocks can get caught on, and also a big hole in the center of the arena where you can just lose the rocks completely. Ideally in these fights you really want the Mantis to do that ground pound ability as much as possible, because every time they do the ground pound ability, they drop more rocks, like that. That was really close.
Yeah.
And what you don't want him to do is the Wind Gust ability, because it's exactly the same as your Wind Gust in that it pushes rocks around and it gets rid of rocks from the arena. And once he gets down to 40%, we're going to go into second stage of the fight. And this is where the skip might end the match very quickly, so let me explain this. Oz is essentially going to be using the bubble ability to try and force him into the air. That was so close. Oh, you got it.
Did it work? Oh my god, first try, let's go. Okay, so time is in 3, 2, 1, time.
Nice job. So basically what he did right there was what you can do with that boss is you can trick it to enter a landing animation when it thinks that it's over ground. And that ground right there is a slope, and so it will try and land, and it will land itself right down into the kill box of the arena. So that was really nicely done. That was almost like perfect second phase.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm surprised that worked, because he landed, but then he like got up and did it again.
It was weird, wasn't it? Like I really like it though. It was really good. What was Rajasu? What was my RTA? If you're looking at that.
Yeah, so 5630
Ooh, that's like a minute off PB. Dang, okay. That's really good.
Nice.
That's really good, actually. I like it. I enjoy it. That's nice. But aside from that, that's Stonefly, any percent. I really enjoyed being here for Speedrun Ragnarok, and thank you so much to Roadkill Revenge for being on commentary. If you want to catch us again, we will be on GDQ Hotfix this Friday, racing this actually together. So you should check that out. And it's gonna be on Cutie Roo Show Legally Cute, and so I'm super excited for that. But aside from that, I highly recommend picking this game up. It's on Steam. I think it's also on Epic Games, and
It's also on like console, every PS,
every console.
Switch. And yeah, and we have a lot of extensive. I made a lot of.
You've made a lot.
extensive
Give credit where credit is due. I have not made any of the resources you have. Yeah.
We also have, reference sheets. So all these mineral numbers we've been spouting off, like, oh, he needs 2,400, whatever. There's a spreadsheet that just makes that super easy to keep track of, so you don't have to memorize a bunch of numbers. And we're also super approachable. So if anybody's interested in just knowing more about this game or helping us, find new tech, because we're still finding new stuff, it's been a great time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Ozmourn. I'm most active on Twitter, Ozmourn on Twitter. Rody, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
Yeah, they can find me at Roadkill Revenge on Twitch. I stream various indie game speedruns and just mostly speedruns, but sometimes other stuff too.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, that is all for us. This has been Stonefly any percent. Again, go buy it. Come speedrun with us. We're the only two people in the world that do, and so we would really love at least one more person. So, yeah. Thank you so much to Speedrun Ragnarok for having me, and I'll be back on Thursday nights, I think, for Antechamber. I will see. All right. I'll see you all around.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to be back in just a few minutes with QT, a peak hole, and Organ Mike's going to be taking over the hosting baton from me, and I'll be back around later. So, see you in just a bit.